Today's guest on 5 Minutes with reached out to us after seeing one of his coworkers who was working with us completely transform his body and health back in 2021. Now here we are 2 years later, and both of them are maintaining a healthy lifestyle and over 40 pounds of weight loss each. Pretty freaking awesome.
That
Welcome
is.
to your episode of 5 Minutes with Jason. Thanks for being here, man.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Why don't we just start out and you kind of tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you are, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, my name is Jason Costello. I live just outside of Philadelphia in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Um, and right now I'm a school teacher. This is kind of a second career for me, but I've been a school teacher for about 19 years. And I got about 10 more years to retirement.
You sound like you're looking forward to that.
No, not at all.
What was your career before you were a teacher? I feel like I might know, but remind me.
I was in private business. I worked at Jefferson University as an economist. I worked on I worked on in the market for a little while, selling stocks and bonds and stuff, but only for a brief period of time. And then I went back when my kids were born. I decided a better lifestyle would be a teaching degree so that I can be home with my kids. My wife is a pharmaceutical scientist, so she works a lot.
Hmm.
And, the teaching career allows me to be at home with my children.
Very cool. What do you think you're going to do when you retire?
Well, let's see, travel. Yeah.
You're like us. You've got a camper too.
We do. Yeah, we have a nice little wildwood camper, and we're going to right now that's stationary, but
Mhm.
we have already started to plan our road trip when we retire. So we're going to go across the country, Canada and Mexico.
Dude,
Wow,
that's
that's
awesome.
really cool.
You'll have to like keep log of that and kind of let us know where we should go in ours too.
I know.
Well, I remember when we first talked over 2 years ago, before you even started working with us, you had recently gone to a doctor's appointment that I feel like might have been a little bit of a wake up call for you. Talk about kind of where you were at with your health and fitness back then.
Well, I was up and down pretty much all my life. I was a athlete in high school and in college, and I was also a Division I lacrosse official. Um, and in 2020, I retired from essentially everything to support my kids, and then the weight ballooned up. And then when I went to a doctor's appointment, just a random doctor's appointment, I guess that would be 2021. Um, the blood work came back alarming, and then my physician immediately said, "Hey, it's time for cholesterol medicine. It's time for blood pressure medicine." And at the time, let's see, I think I was 46 or 47.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'm not even 50 years old yet. This isn't right. This isn't supposed to happen. And then that was the wake up call. That was
Mhm.
it. And at that point, I said, listen, I got to make some changes and make some lifestyle changes. And a colleague of mine at work is about a year ahead of me. And I saw his changes. And I said to him, I said, listen, man, give me some advice. Give me some advice on what to do. And I was expecting him to say, okay, go run, stop eating this and start lifting this. And the first thing he said is, no, dude. These are the people you want to reach out to. And that's where I came to you guys.
We need to get him on the payroll.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I think it is a testament to like, and I was going to bring this up later, but this is a good time to bring it up. You were watching the change that was happening in his life, and he had a positive impact on you without even him probably even realizing that he was.
Mhm.
Like, how have you seen the people around you kind of soak in the changes that you've made, and what impact has that had on like
Mhm.
your immediate family and your kind of core group of friends?
Yeah, it's funny how like I guess the water always rolls downstream. So I started with my colleague, and now people are asking me. They're like, "Hey, man, how'd you do it?" And I explained to them, here's don't be afraid to reach out for help. And
Mhm.
people around me, they notice it, they see it. And what the first thing I say to them is that you got to be dedicated. You got to make sure that you stay committed. I guess I can say it this way, and it's actually not my words, it's Sean's words. He says anybody can lose weight. The hardest part is changing the life to make sure the weight doesn't come back.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
good.
where I was, and that's what I tell people. And um, I think in my life, impacted my wife. She sees what I'm doing, and I guess it's the byproduct because I cook. I do all the cooking. So whatever I cook, she eats,
Mhm.
and she has actually lost about 30 pounds as well.
Wow. I
Wow.
did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
and she just kind of like, I wouldn't say follows my lead. She prefers to run on the treadmill, do a
Mhm.
lot of Pilates, yoga, that kind of stuff. But it's motivating because we live in the same house, and she's like, you know what, you're not going to show me up. So
I love it.
she's on the same path as I am. And my son, now that we put some, my wife put some weights in the basement.
Mhm.
Now my son, he comes home every day from school and he goes right downstairs and works out. And he's in ninth grade. And my
wow.
my daughter recently joined a gym. So
Wow.
Nice.
Dude, you're
she says,
changing the family tree.
That is amazing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I guess family wise, it's kind of hard not to have an impact on the people that you live with.
Mhm.
People that I work with is the same way, and that's where I was with my colleague. He
Mhm.
actually is my boss, so I saw him a lot.
Right.
Uh, that's why I was able to find the motivation in him.
Yeah.
You said something important there that like a lot of people can lose weight and there's any number of diet you can pull out of a hat to do that. But the reason that you've been able to do like pretty much the unthinkable and the
Mhm.
statistical anomaly, keep the weight off, is because you've changed your lifestyle.
Mhm.
How important really is that? And what had you tried in the past to, to diet, to lose weight?
Well, in the past, I know you guys are going to cringe on this, but when I was refereeing lacrosse, um, someone once told me that you can't have overweight people on television, right? So
Hmm.
what they would tell me is that there was something called a GM diet, where it's basically protein. And General Motors used to ask their employees to do this. I tried that. Weight came right back on. I tried the whole Atkins thing where you just eat nothing but protein. I like protein. It's delicious. The weight came off, but it comes right back on again. Um, so I've tried those other things in the past, and they've always been temporary.
Mhm.
And when I met with you guys, I kind of knew this in the back of my head, but you emphasized it. It's not so much a diet because anybody can diet. It's a
Mhm.
lifestyle change that's going to cause the long-term impacts to health and activity and nutrition. And I just decided that my dad passed away in 2018, and he did not have a very healthy lifestyle, um, and it impacted him later in life. Right.
Mhm.
I learned a lot of really positive things from my dad, but I also saw some negative things too. And one of the things that I realize is that I don't want to, there's a difference between, like, I guess you would say, being alive and living.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I decided that I want to live for a long time, and I don't want medication to help me do that.
Mhm.
It's going to happen someday. I get it, but not today. And I also want to be around for my kids and grandkids when the time comes. So what keeps me focused and motivated is that, whenever you think that, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, I just kind of want to quit, you have to remember why you started. And I started because I want to live a good lifestyle for my kids, so that I'm around when I'm 80 or
Mm-hmm.
90,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
more.
I remember you recently went on a trip and you went into it with the mindset like I'm going to enjoy this
Uh-huh.
trip too, but I'm also going to prioritize my health during that time. And that might have been, I'm guessing that might be a mindset shift from previous vacations in the past.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, my family is an Irish Catholic family, and we do like our extracurricular activities.
Shenanigans.
They like the shenanigans. That's right. That's right. And I mean, like, my family gives me a hard time, but you know what? I got to tell you, they have actually accepted it. And that, I think, is the bigger point here. We're
Mhm.
actually, today is my daughter's birthday, and we're having our family come over. And I didn't give up the shenanigans, but I have essentially cut it down to the very, very minimal.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel great about it. And my family now knows this, and they don't pressure anymore. They
Yeah.
don't give me that like guilt trip anymore. And I find that very soothing. Uh,
Yeah,
and
makes life easier.
Yeah.
people get used to who you are.
Yeah. Man.
What let's go back to that doctor's visit in 2021. How have subsequent doctor's visits since then gone?
They've been my doctor is actually he's he's quite shocked, quite honestly. My,
Let's
my
get him on the program.
yeah, yeah. He's a pretty healthy guy, and he, after that 1 year, I think the first blood test that I had that caused a lot of alarms. I believe the number was 184, was my cholesterol, and the ideal range is supposed to be between 80 and 105. Physicians would know what that means. I don't. Uh, but so he basically said, "Look, dude, you're about like 90 points over where you're supposed to be." I went back a year later. My cholesterol went from 184 down to 102.
Wow.
I
So,
remember we celebrated that.
yeah, it went down, and of course, I also lost about at the time about 35 pounds. I'm thinking it's now like 45 pounds or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, And the physician says, you know what, dude, let's we don't need to talk about medication ever again.
That's so great.
That is.
As long as you're on this path, you don't need to talk about medication. We'll just talk about maintaining your health and go from that point.
And that's exactly why we do this.
Oh yeah.
This is a great episode because this is what we want people to hear. This is why we're doing all of these things.
You've gone from having conversations about blood pressure medication to like training for this 10-mile race.
That's what I was about to say.
Coming
yeah.
up, what a difference, and how much you can bench press now.
I know.
Talk about like the way that all this consistency you put in is like translated into like your physical ability.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I never thought when I was a lacrosse official, I ran because I got paid. Now I run because I like to.
Yeah.
And I like to challenge myself. I will admit. So I had a 3K back in November of 2022, and I'm doing a 10-mile race.
Yeah.
I do have to admit, when I signed up for this race, I thought I was signing up for a 10K, and I read it wrong. Now it's a 10 mile. And my wife, bring her back in. So I told her what happened. I said, I screwed up. My wife said, no, you didn't. It's just another challenge.
Yeah.
He's like,
That's great.
You can do it. And I said, well, I might need some, help with this. And so she's like, you know what? I'll do it too. So she's
Aw,
just
that's great.
I didn't know that either.
That is great. Well, you've got some, I've started ramping up the running that we're going to be doing in the next, is it like 10 weeks away or so?
Yeah, I think we're going. This is week 12, so now next week will be week 11.
Week 11. Okay. Yep.
11,
Yeah. Start ramping up that running. I mean, I remember back when we started working together, you were back in the other room of your gym with just like a single dumbbell. We were practicing doing some goblet squats. That's kind of like where you started. And now you're squatting with the barbell, you're deadlifting with the barbell, you're, bench pressing with the barbell, you're signing up for a 10-mile race. It's really cool to see how far you've come in just your training side as well.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to bench press my weight since college, and I did that the other day.
Yeah.
So cool. You're deadlifting. I can't remember the exact number. Do you remember like what your deadlift reps have been at lately?
Well, I think we maxed out about 2 weeks ago, and I think it's about 260 on the deadlift.
Yeah.
Crazy. Not a lot.
And most of the time, the bench press is just limited because you don't like have a spotter around. You're like, I could go more, but I want to be safe right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start to wrap up. One question I like to ask people in these episodes is picture yourself where you were before you started this fitness journey. Somebody else is there right now. What do you say to that person who's afraid to start?
Don't be afraid. I mean, what I would say is that you got to do a little bit of internal soul searching. And if this is something that we want to do, you can do it. And it is, don't worry about the scale and don't worry about the numbers. Worry about how you feel and how you look to yourself, not to others, but yourself. So, I mean, I weigh in every morning. I look at it as more like a benchmark. I define success on, how I look, how I feel, and how I can move.
Yeah. I think we've really been able to like turn the coaching that we do together into a process, and we celebrate, doing the process, not just the outcome that we get. Yeah. Well, this has been great, Jason. I know a
Yeah,
lot of people will be inspired by this.
for
Thanks for
sure.
taking the time to do
Hope
this. We
so.
appreciate you.
My pleasure. My
All
pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it for
all
sure.
right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Take care.